Hi, welcome back to Finally Revealed. In this episode, I want to talk about self-consciousness and how to minimize that. We've all felt some self-conscious at some point or another. It usually happens starting when you're kids, unless you've had some type of training. But everyone's self-conscious at some point, so it's something that we all share. It's feeling embarrassed or worried that someone is going to say something or react to you, and it's because it stems from some temporary or permanent situation or condition that you have that you think is going to be given too much attention, or it's going to take away from whatever is happening. Or sometimes being self-conscious comes on us in the spur of the moment when something unexpected happens. A room of thousands of people, while their attention is generally on you, they're all about themselves, and so they just want you to brush it off. But sometimes it's more difficult. Sometimes people are self-conscious just as a form of general nervousness. It's really not your self-conscious, it's just that you're nervous. And I have a couple of preparation videos, and I'll put the link below, so those might help you in certain situations to feel better about going in and being the center of attention. But in other situations, it's truly because you are focusing on something more than probably what anybody else is going to do, and so we want to address your focus on it, because you might not realize it, but everywhere you go, your energy comes in advance of you. And how you are feeling, you can communicate that, and you do communicate that to everyone else. So while they might not be focusing on a particular aspect, you have a different accent than they do. You're shorter than they are. You're taller than they are. What you may not realize is that you're, just by the fact that you're expecting them to notice something or pay too much attention to something, or not think as highly of you as maybe the other speaker, you are communicating that. And that's what people mean when they say people take you on your own recommendation. How you let other people treat you or react to you, and your attitude and your energy about yourself is communicated to everyone else. So you want to be aware of that and fix that before you get into this situation, if it's something that you can plan for. The other thing that you bring into the conversation beyond your energy are physical things that the audience can see. If you're talking extra softly, or you're stumbling over words, or you have to read prepared material, or you're using your hands to pick at something or cover something up that now you're drawing attention to the situation, those are all things now where people's focus is now going to be directed at you in the way that you don't want. So the problem with all of this, besides how you might feel internally, is that all of this energy and activity and focus is now off of what the purpose of the interaction is, and now it's on the very thing that you are worried that people are going to notice, because you have drawn your attention to it. So we want to get the attention off of that, hopefully by avoiding it and practicing. In these tips that I'm going to give you in a minute, you can practice and not have that happen anymore. But if there is something that pops up, giving you some other ideas and ways to address it so that you stay on track, or if you're derailed temporarily, that you get back on track. I have 4 suggestions for you to work on this. The first one is not something that I suggest, but it's something that people were told forever, it seems. Don't worry, and particularly in public speaking situations, just picture everyone in their underwear. Don't do that. Either good or bad, it's going to distract you more than the situation that you're going into. But that is what common advice used to be about this type of a subject. My first suggestion is just get over yourself. Don't take it so seriously. You'll put so much pressure on yourself about one little thing, or maybe it's a big thing, that you are defeating yourself before you even start. No one is perfect. The bigger the situation is, the more pressure you may put on yourself. Signal to you, that means you need more preparation, so that no matter what happens, you know your material cold, you are prepared, and that will make you calm down and you won't worry about any other little pesky thing. The next thing is, in general, increase your confidence. Be confident. Think of a cat that runs across and knocks things over. They always look like, well, I meant to do that. That's what's the matter? That's the way it's supposed to be. Act as if you are in control, even when you're not feeling so in control, and just be confident. I know of one person in an audition who had the confidence, but it wavered for just a minute. So trust yourself. She was in a very important audition, and she had been in these, she was a professional person, and she had done these over and over again. But at this one particular time, her confidence wavered, and she asked a question of the judges. And for the fact of asking that question, they excused her from the rest of the audition, and she was finished. She took it very hard. She ended up succeeding in another area. But she did that to herself, and it was completely unnecessary. Go with your experience. You know what you're doing. Put yourself in situations where you can be prepared, and then you can use your confidence to go forward and own it. Don't question yourself, just keep going forward. And that brings me to the next one. These seem logical, but not to everyone. That's why I'm separating these out. Be prepared. Know what you're doing, know what your part is, understand what the other functions are going on around. Again, I've got links below for preparing in situations of public speaking. But whatever your situation is that either triggers you to be nervous or self-conscious, or the condition about which you are self-conscious. If you got a bad haircut, if you got a bad color job, if you have some surgery going on. I had a case where we had negotiations and meetings, then we were breaking for lunch, and then we went back in the afternoon. And this other attorney over the lunch hour had gone in to have some laser treatment done on her face. So she comes in the morning fine. After lunch, she has no makeup, and now she has red spots and scabs all over her face. Well, she was a little flustered at the beginning, but then we just went on. We had to focus on what we were there about, and we were not there to talk about how good or bad her face looked. One story that pops up in every sitcom and lots of movies is where someone is invited to a costume party, and they show up in their costume, and there really is no costume party. It was just a setup to embarrass someone or pick on them. So if you are worried, if you have social anxiety, and that is one of your things that you're self-conscious about, that you want to dress appropriately, if you are invited to a costume party, find someone else who's also invited that you trust and verify. If you don't understand the invitation that you have, whether it's black tie optional, tail or dressy casual, Google it or call somebody and verify. Do a little bit of legwork at the beginning to help you prepare so that whatever you're concerned about, you can address it in advance. If you have some type of temporary disability or permanent disability and you're worried about access into an older building, scope it out in advance. Have somebody help you. If you don't know where some place is and you hate being late, scope it out. Google it. Practice the route in advance. And this will help you feel more confident in general, and therefore enable you to not be so self-conscious about whatever your other issue is. Like I just said a minute ago, in order to prepare to avoid some of the situations, don't go to a new stylist a week before your wedding, or a week before some big presentation, or a week before you're going to be filming something, unless it's to get you into character. Don't do something out of the ordinary that's going to pack on your nervousness or your self-consciousness, or give you an opportunity for something to go haywire. Don't go to a new person for a facial before you're going in for a big interview, so that you have scarring or burns or something else, or like that attorney, she obviously didn't understand what was involved in that procedure from her reaction, that she didn't think she would have this type of immediate presentation afterward. And if she did know that, then she either would have rescheduled the appointment, or she would have rescheduled us so that we would not be there when she came back. So just think a little bit ahead and plan a little ahead and prepare. And if you've tried all of those, and you should employ all three of those, the best one is own it. When you have bad evidence in court, you want to be the one who brings it out first. And like I said at the beginning, your energy and how you handle it is going to be conveyed to everyone else. And if you're okay with it, everyone else is going to be okay with it. So I had a couple of situations, and one of them was I went into a meeting and I had a big pimple on my face, and I was teased. I was like the little sister in this particular place I worked, and I knew they were going to tease me, and no, I didn't think it looked good, and no, I couldn't cover it up. The more stuff I put on my face to cover it up, the bigger it got, and it hurt, and it's just not nice, not a good feeling. So I went in there and I said, look, first of all, this is Vesuvius. I am Michelle. Now let's just go forward with the meeting. I had another situation where I was invited out to lunch with my boss, and we scheduled it so that I could be back in time to then turn around. I had to go to a court hearing. So we go to, and he was famous for there's no free lunch. So we were going to lunch, and we went to an Italian restaurant. I had never been there before, and we're eating, and I ordered spaghetti. Probably not a good idea, but anyway, I was worried about it getting all over my face, so I made sure to use my napkin and try not to make a mess. Anyway, we went through what we had to talk about, and we were finishing up lunch, and the waitress came with the check, and like I said, he always said there's no free lunch. He took the check, and I was surprised. I said, what are you doing? And he said, well, you know my policy. I don't buy lunch for anybody, but I haven't had this much entertainment in a long time. Well, I didn't quite know. I said, what do you mean? And I was looking around. I couldn't figure out what he said. He said, well, I'm going to take care of this check, and you go ahead. You might want to go to the ladies' room before we leave, and because I know you've got a court hearing. I was mortified. I thought I didn't know what was going on. I got up and I went into the bathroom. I was wearing a cream-colored silk blouse. Every time I picked up my napkin to wipe my face, the bottom of my napkin was dipping in the sauce and painting on my blouse. So, not good. Obviously, I wasn't going to get marinara sauce out of my blouse. I had to go to court. Luckily, it was fall and I had a trench coat. So we go back, he's laughing, we go back to the office, I dry myself and try to figure it out, go to the courthouse. The other side didn't show up that day. And either they were, I don't remember what it was all about, but they were conceding. Now I was going to get whatever the issue was that I was before the court. I went in to check in with the assistant, and she said, well, so-and-so, the other side wasn't here. So the judge just got back from lunch. Go ahead and stick your head in his door and see if he just wants to take care of this in chambers, since you don't need to use the courtroom. So I stuck my head in, and he motioned me in, and he asked me if the other side was there, and I said, no, do you want to wait in the courtroom? And he said, no, we'll sit back here for 5 minutes, and if they don't show, we'll just take care of it. All right. And I said, well, I need to tell you, Judge, I apologize. And as I've told you all, there are rules for courts and what you're dressing, and some are more strict than others. I said, I apologize that I'm wearing my trench coat, but I had a little mishap at lunch, and I'm kind of wearing my lunch. So I'm a little embarrassed about it, but I just don't want you to think that I'm being disrespectful by wearing the coat. And he said, oh, Michelle, I just finished lunch too. Don't worry about it. He said, I took my teeth out. So if you're going to keep your coat on, if they don't show up, I'll just put my teeth in after you leave. So that was quite shocking. But we both had something to deal with at that point. So just own it. Make a joke out of it. Mention it and move on, and everyone else will too. And hopefully that will help you be less self-conscious and give yourself a break. Everybody makes mistakes, things happen, things always work out in the long run the way that they're supposed to be, and we're all on your side. So if this was helpful or you learned something, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to see the other videos, share this with someone who may need it, and feel free to leave any comments or questions below. I love to read them. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.